Incredible matches this week, some incredible highs, some controversial moments that we will unfortunately have to go over as well. What's up, I'm Adrian, and welcome back to UCL This Week. Let's dive in a moment, but first, none of you can guess what kit I'm wearing, can you? Can you? That's because it comes from Adrian's Closet of Curiosities, which is powered by Sangalo, the sickest kit shop on the internet where you can get unique and authentic kits from India, Senegal, Indonesia, Zimbabwe, or the Ivory Coast, and many more countries. And this one is from the Ivory Coast. It's Zoman FC. So grab some unique kits yourself by using the link in the description and use code Rabona TV, all one word, for 10% off of your order. Sounds good? Thanks, Sangalo, and let's officially dive into this video. Both matches on Tuesday were fun as hell to watch, and talk of this one will be long, as we have a couple of major events to analyze. Bayern Munich certainly surprised me with how they showed up in this. They were absolutely terrible at home against Borussia Dortmund, and while they looked good in the first half against Heidenheim recently, going up 2-0 away, they collapsed in the second half, blew their 2-0 lead, and lost 3-2 to the 10th place team. Arsenal, they've been pretty solid recently, draw with City, beating Luton, and beating Brighton. But in this match, you could have thrown the form sheets away, as Arsenal looked a bit nervous at times, and rightfully so, as in a team that boasts talents such as Serge Gnabry, Harry Kane, Kimmich, Jamal Musiala, Sané, and on it goes. That's still who they're facing, even if they're in bad form. That said, Saka started things off with a goal in just the 12th minute. Eric Dyer, who actually has been decent for Bayern of late, blocking the view of his keeper, but not sure Neuer would have gotten to that strike either way because Saka hit it brilliantly. Then Bayern replied with 2 goals in the first half. One came directly after Ben White failed to finish. Maybe it was offside, but still, you got to finish that all the same from this position. Bayern's attack in the other direction was well worked, straight through the heart of Arsenal, with Goretzka feeding Gnabry, and he cooked in the Emirates once again. The other, a great run from Sané, which resulted in a penalty that Kane converted. That run from Sané was one of those ones where each defender approached him and you're thinking, okay, surely this is the guy that will stop him. Okay, surely this guy will stop him, again and again, until he was eventually fouled. Nobody stopped him except for illegally. Trossard would come off of the bench. Honestly, he should be a starter in my eyes. Rate him much higher than Martinelli, but hey, Trossard would cleanly finish after some great work from Gabriel Jesus to set him up. That was it for the goals, 2-2, despite Coman hitting the post shortly after, so a close call for Arsenal there, nearly lost it. And now let's talk about the things I enjoy speaking about far less than actual football, but they can't really be overlooked, can they? First, the Saka and Neuer situation from the end of the match, where Saka cut inside to his left and then his right leg flew into Neuer's right leg. He and Arsenal thought it was a penalty. Now, this to me looked like Saka initiating contact more so than Neuer crashing into him clumsily, because Saka moved unnaturally, man. When you try to turn quickly to your left as Saka did, you plant your right leg and push off of it. You don't dangle it outward in the air like you're doing a step over. I don't go floating with my right leg in the air when trying to turn quickly. I mean, give it a shot yourself if you want. Turn hard to the left. I guess I'm just an elite athlete though, you know? So here you go, Saka. I'll show you how to turn quickly, pal. Take it from the YouTuber. But also look at this frame. The man's off of both of his feet before he even comes into contact with Neuer, with his left knee dropping. When you turn quickly to the left, you throw your right leg out in the air and drop your left knee? Hell no, man. He had made up his mind as to what path he wanted to go down, and in my mind, he chose wrongly. He absolutely could have rounded Neuer. He has the ability and he had the space to do so, but he chose wrong. It's interesting to see that a lot of pundits who were in favor of it being a penalty were largely from the English broadcasters, and even then, not all of them were sold. The officials got this one right. Coming from a guy who predicted Arsenal to go through, you know? Then again, also a guy who doesn't care about his predictions at all, so. And of course, we got to talk about the handball situation between Raya and Gabriel. Now, for anyone who didn't see it, here's the breakdown, second by second. From a goal kick, throw in, or corner, the referee doesn't need to blow the whistle to resume play as he does from kickoff, free kicks, penalties, etc. However, he has to do so when a substitution has been made, because when that's happening, play is stopped with a whistle and needs to be resumed again with a whistle. And so in this situation, the referee blows the whistle here. I can't show you the video, of course, but Raya reacts and passes to Gabriel. Gabriel picks up the ball, places it, and passes back to Raya. And given the referee had blown the whistle, the ball was in play, and so it should have been a penalty for Bayern, given Gabriel's moment of madness there. And Raya knew it as well, because as the Bayern players were protesting, The referee hadn't blown his whistle, but Raya stood there staring at the ref, waiting for something to happen before realizing the ref wasn't going to punish them, and then he carried on. But he was frozen to the spot for a second, like, oh shit. Now, there is talk about the spirit of the game and how in said spirit of the game, giving a penalty here that could have decided the match would be a shame. I agree, but two things can be true. Yes, it would be a shame and an absolutely iconic, monumental, boneheaded mistake from Gabriel, but at the same time, by the laws of the game, it also should have been a penalty. Like I said, two things can be true. So while I would have felt bad for Arsenal had it been given, because what a way to concede a goal, I do also sympathize with Bayern, as "it was a schoolboy mistake" explanation from the referee is quite aggravating. People make schoolboy mistakes at other points in matches and are punished for them. So from Bayern's perspective, why are we overlooking some schoolboy mistakes and not others? It's a fair question. They have a right to feel aggrieved. But hey, it's a draw in the end, and so it will be decided in Germany now at the Allianz Arena. Arsenal will feel frustrated that they didn't do enough to go to Germany with an advantage, especially against this Bayern team, because even a Bayern that's in poor form, they've shown that they can still cause you a bunch of problems and will do so at home. Coman was close to doing so with his strike off the post, where Arsenal had the bulk of the ball and the attempts. They failed to generate a lot of solid opportunities for themselves. Advantage Bayern there. And when you look at how Arsenal have done away in the Champions League, just one victory, and that being against Sevilla, and it's not looking great. But hey, records are there to be broken, so we'll see. Now in this match, at least there aren't any massive, lengthy, and laborious controversial moments that need to be walked through. We can just speak about the football from each side. This match is exactly why sometimes it's great to see two teams that aren't at their peak going up against each other, because it provides so much more entertainment. It started off at a blistering pace as Bernardo Silva smashed in a free kick all the way from the Etihad, basically, one that Andre Lunin will absolutely want back. I get it, he wasn't expecting Bernardo to attempt something as audacious as that, given the distance the free kick was being taken from, but it didn't look great on Lunin's part, did it? Take nothing from Bernardo's execution of the strike and the bravery to do so, but because he did his part of the bargain, but I can guarantee that Lunin will want that one back. However, as mentioned, neither side was at their peak performance, and in City's case, it was down to their defending in this one, which is much worse than it was last season. They were left completely open at times, which surely would have had Guardiola pining for Kyle Walker, who was out for this match. With Walker's speed, City would have been able to take care of Vinicius and Rodrigo much better, as there were far too many occasions where those two were running up against 2 or 3 City defenders. And despite being outnumbered at times, with those odds for those two brilliant attackers, Vinicius and Rodrigo, were still causing tons of issues. 2v2 or 2v3 is still good odds for them. That said, the equalizer came from Camavinga, well, via Ruben Dias actually, as his strike may not have even been heading goalward, but the massive deflection off of Ruben Dias took it past Ortega in goal. Real Madrid's second goal, also a big deflection. It was a couple of aggravating goals for Ortega to concede, but this one came thanks to what we spoke of earlier, Rodrigo with far too much space in the attack. Not something you want to see, and while Akanji got back admirably, Rodrigo's poke bounced off of his heel to just perfectly roll past Ortega in goal. Poor guy, that will have been very frustrating for him. But anyway, as I said, nobody was perfect in this match, and City equalized through a stunning strike from Phil Foden. He was left with some room at the edge of the box, and he smashed it perfectly into the top corner. Absolutely no keeper in the world would be stopping that strike. And honestly, this wasn't even one of Foden's best performances of late, as up until that point, he had largely been frustrated, just as many of City's attackers had been when trying to break through this Real Madrid defense. In fact, Erling Haaland was the most frustrated, as he was completely, and I do mean completely, neutralized by Antonio Rudiger in this match. The man had 20 touches all game, Haaland that is, giving it away 7 times, that's 35% of the time, and only connected on 6 of his 9 attempted passes. The man was in jail. He was locked up by Tchouaméni and Rudiger, as they did everything to stop him, and they succeeded in doing so. After making it 2-2, City took the lead thanks to Joško Gvardiol as he hit a perfect strike after taking an imperfect first touch, actually. That imperfect first touch did indeed give Toni Kroos the opportunity to close him down, but he was a bit sluggish in doing so and was taken off the pitch shortly after. Still, it was a breathtaking hit by Gvardiol, and again, not much that Lunin could do when it comes to this one. So, similar to the second goal in that way. So after a trio of greasy goals to start the match, the final 3 goals were brilliant. Foden, Gvardiol, and finally Valverde. A nice cross from Vinicius and an even better volley from Valverde as the Uruguayan smashed it low past the keeper for 3-3. And that was the final score in this one. And as noted by ESPN, actually, City have advanced in their last 3 Champions League knockout stage ties when they drew away in the first leg, including last season. After drawing at the Bernabeu, City won 4-0 at home. This City isn't as good as last season's defensively, but they are clearly still capable of hurting Real Madrid on the attack. It's on a knife's edge as Real are good attackers as well, but I think the advantage is ever so slightly in City's favor, heading back to the Etihad, likely with De Bruyne back as he was out with a bug in this match. Walker, maybe. Bit of a mystery there. We'll see. This match was also a fun one as PSG were balling out for much of it early doors, but Barcelona still provided a threat on the counter. PSG and Barcelona come into this match on very good form as Barcelona are undefeated since Xavi announced his departure in January, the end of it, and PSG haven't lost a match since November 7th against AC Milan. Incredible stuff. Would that run come to an end? I mean, you can see the result. As mentioned, PSG were looking incredibly dangerous as I did not envy the right side of Barcelona's defense that had to work on Mbappe and Nuno Mendes. A nightmare, eh? Then again, not much relief on the other side as Dembele was looking pretty scary on the other side, at least on the dribble. His final ball and decision-making was missing in that first half. That said, it was Barcelona that had some of the most dangerous opportunities in that first 30 minutes or so. I'm thinking of when Donnarumma had to rush out to get to the ball before Rafinha or Nuno Mendes clearing the ball off of the line from that Lewandowski header. And actually from that moment onward, the ball being cleared off the line, you could feel a momentum shift, couldn't you? That momentum shift led us to the 37th minute when a great attack saw a ball played wide to Lamine Yamal, and his well-placed ball to Lewandowski was cut out by Donnarumma but fell to Rafinha to finish between the defenders that were trying to scramble back to cover the goal line. First blood to Barcelona, and you couldn't begrudge them of that. It was deserved. Barcelona were in control in those moments, in that latter half of the first half. But remember what I said about Dembele's finishing or his final ball missing in the first half? What a finish from the man who finds it easier to miss the open goal than he does to finish. This man absolutely smashed one in against his former team and celebrated as hard as you'd like as well. It had to be him, didn't it? It just had to be Dembele. And shortly after that, PSG took the lead when Fabian Ruiz played in Vitinha and he finished smartly past Ter Stegen. PSG were absolutely flying and they had the domination from the early exchanges of the first half, but with the addition of actually creating incredible chances and finishing them off. Minutes later, Barcola, who replaced Asensio, he got in on the action, but Ter Stegen managed to tip his strike up and off of the bar. PSG were swarming. However, one of the subs that Xavi made around the hour mark had an instant impact, as Pedri's brilliant pass was finished off by Rafinha to make it 2-2 out of nowhere. Barcelona with 2 goals from 5 attempts. They were economical with their strikes. And PSG were perhaps trying to be a little too economical with their defending as Andreas Christensen, who had just come on, was being marked by Warren Zaire-Emery. Half his size and maybe age. Only one of those are correct. And so of course he was able to head past Donnarumma for 3-2 for Barcelona. It was wild stuff out there. Christensen will be out for the next match, however, as he got a yellow card later on, so he will be suspended. But despite some dangerous attacks from PSG, they end up losing 3-2 at home against Barcelona, who make their chances count. Stunning win for Barca, who are going back to the Montjuic Stadium with the lead, and they look good value for it. Yes, PSG will be disappointed with the opportunities that went begging, or a few times when players like Mbappe and Ruiz could have played their teammates in rather than shoot. But overall, a massive credit to Barcelona. Great performance from them. Because when PSG scored twice to go ahead 2-1, Barcelona's of the past would have crumbled in this situation, that is for sure. But this iteration didn't. They not only clawed back to save themselves, but actually managed to steal an advantage thanks to some poor defending from PSG, and Xavi deserves a lot of credit for that. I expect the second leg to be just as open, just as frantic at times, and just as entertaining as I think that's just what you get with the state of the two opposing defenses at the moment. And I'm here for it, man. Bring it on. Well, there are few worse ways to start a match than how Borussia Dortmund did, and to start a match that way in a place like the Metropolitano is just nightmare fuel for Edin Terzic, a team that has had mixed results for all throughout this season, really, looking completely unpredictable from one match to the next. To be fair, you could describe both of these sides in that manner and it would be accurate, where Borussia Dortmund have a win away to Bayern, then a loss at home to Stuttgart, a solid team as well, by the way. Atletico have wins over Inter, followed by drubbings at home against Barcelona, so neither side makes sense at the moment. And the goal Dortmund conceded after just 5 minutes made little sense as well, as Kobel was determined to pass to Madsen for some reason, who had men around him, multiple, and Madsen decided that a flick around the corner was better than just trying to hoof the ball somewhere. Kobel should have hoofed it himself, to be fair, but after Madsen's failed attempt, DePaul latched onto it and finished past Kobel for 1-0, and from then on, Atleti continued to dominate in this first half. Another boneheaded mistake from Dortmund would lead to Atletico's second. Dortmund's defenders getting in each other's way, getting their wires crossed, and coughing up possession cheaply. The ball played through to Griezmann, who did well to chip it wide to Lino, and he finished smoothly. Controlled it, then rolled it past Kobel. He was helpless in goal. 2-0 to finish that half out, and at an incredibly easy pace for Atletico all around. Borussia Dortmund provided next to nothing in that first half, bar perhaps that strike from Madsen from distance around the 43rd minute, but it was mostly cool, calm, collected. At least Borussia Dortmund continued their strong play in the second half, as they controlled the ball well, but found Atletico quite difficult to break down. When have you last heard that, eh? They managed to break them down through a great passage of play through the center of Atleti's defense, with Brandt playing a ball through to Haller that was initially blocked, but the Ivorian managed to turn and smack it low pass Oblak for 2-1. Life for them, I mean, Bino Gittins nearly equalized with his strike that came off of the bar. So definitely life for them. And also, with what was essentially the final touch of the game, Brandt's towering header came off of the bar, denying them of a 2-2 draw in Madrid, which is no easy feat. Unlucky for Borussia Dortmund, who played a lot better than I myself expected them to, and who are a couple of inches away from coming out of Madrid with a draw minimum, which is incredibly impressive. As mentioned earlier, you never know what you will get with both of these sides, so it's impossible to tell what will happen next week. As easy as it would have been to say that playing at the Westfalenstadion is a massive, undeniable advantage for Borussia Dortmund in the past, with the way that they have been streaky, like Atleti this season, it makes it really difficult, doesn't it? I love how even these quarterfinals have been, man. I'm having a blast watching these. How about you? Let me know about your favorite parts of this week's matches, what you loved or hated, and beyond that, thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate the support greatly. I'm Adrian, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care.